Thanks for joining us. Shots fired at a Jewish girls' school early this morning has shaken the community. Fortunately, no one was hurt. Still, the incident on such a significant day, Yom Kippur, is drawing strong condemnation from the province's top politicians and police. As Tyreek Reed shows us, this is actually the second shooting at the school this year.
Several police cruisers sit outside the Beis Hayamushka Jewish School for Girls Saturday. One of its front windows now shattered after being pierced by bullets. The school now turned into a crime scene.
We understand this is deeply unsettling for the Jewish community, especially today on such a significant day. Our priority is your safety, and we are committed to doing everything we can to find those responsible.
Investigators say a suspect driving a vehicle opened fire at the school around 4 a.m. Saturday morning. The news is both shocking and familiar for members of the community. The school was already the target of gunfire in May. Toronto's mayor has a message for the suspects.
Turn yourself in. Think about children. Think about a time of worship. That someone would do something like that is just horrific.
Whoever these culprits are that shot up the school need to be arrested and thrown in jail, because we have zero tolerance for any anti-Semitism, any form of hate with any religion.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau also posting on social media saying anti-Semitism is a disgusting and dangerous form of hate. Last spring's shooting sparked both anger and rallies in support of the community. But today the Jewish community is quieter as they celebrate Yom Kippur, one of the holiest days of the year in Judaism, a day that's now been overshadowed by violence, leaving advocates calling for more protection.
There can be no assuming that this day, Yom Kippur, was not selected intentionally. We can say never again, we can say hate has no place, but without action, the people that are doing this are going to continue to feel emboldened and are going to continue to engage in these violent acts attacking the community.
Over the past couple weeks, Toronto police added 3 command posts in Jewish neighborhoods and said Saturday more officers will be placed near the girls' school. They say as part of the investigation, they're not ruling out the possibility of a hate crime.
We have to follow the evidence, right, as it presents itself, so that's most important, and we will do that. But obviously, we're not ignoring this. It is Yom Kippur, and a Jewish school has been shot up. So that is why the hate crime unit is a big part of this investigation.
Officers have not confirmed if the 2 shootings are connected, but it's something they're looking into. They say no injuries were reported in both incidents, and they're still working on suspect information. Tyreek Reed, CBC News, Toronto.
The owner of a Toronto restaurant is speaking out. Her business was vandalized shortly after the 1-year anniversary of the Hamas attack on Israel.
I was very angry, extremely angry, and really sad at the same time. Those were the two emotions that were really permeating when I first saw the footage, which was very jarring.
The restaurant, called Banu, is owned by a journalist who often uses her social media to talk about the war in Gaza. Security footage from October 8th shows a person smashing the glass and going inside around 3:30 a.m. Now, Toronto police say they are investigating, adding that the hate crime unit is aware of the incident, but there's not enough evidence yet to call it hate motivated. The owner says she's concerned a heated exchange on social media between herself and MPP Goldie Gamari may have made her business a target after Gamari mentioned the name of the restaurant online. Now, the MPP said in a post that she condemns all forms of violence and hopes the public can help identify the perpetrator. Overseas, the Israeli military sending out more evacuation orders for residents in southern Lebanon and in Gaza. The UN says aid getting into the region is at its lowest levels in months. Philip Lishanik has more.
Mourners bury loved ones killed in the latest strike on a village in southern Lebanon, as Israel continues its attack on the militant group Hezbollah. According to the Lebanese Health Ministry, more than 2,200 people have been killed since the attacks began, and more than 10,000 wounded. According to UNICEF, even more now living in shelters.
More than 1.2 million Lebanese have been displaced, 400,000 children by this war that Lebanon has not asked for.
United Nations officials warn that the conflict between Hezbollah and Israel is escalating.
This is really turning very soon into a regional conflict with catastrophic impact for everyone. So the responsibility is with everyone, definitely with the parties, but also with the international community.
A fifth member of the United Nations multinational peacekeeping force was injured by Israeli troops Saturday, but they have refused the Israel Defense Forces warnings to leave the area.
There was a decision, unanimous decision, to stay because it's important for the UN flag to still fly high in this region.
Israel is also facing international criticism after renewed strikes in northern Gaza. Dozens of people reported killed in a refugee camp in Jabalia as the humanitarian crisis worsens in the Palestinian enclave. The World Food Program says no food has entered Gaza so far this month. It says 1 million people are at risk of going hungry.
Both of the crossings in the north of the Gaza Strip have been closed. The only, let's say, goods that we managed to get in is actually fuel. This is the only goods that we managed to get in the north of Gaza since the 1st of October.
And the latest call for a ceasefire comes from leaders from European Mediterranean countries that convened in Cyprus. 9 countries, including Spain, Italy, and France, called for an end to hostilities in Gaza and Lebanon and an end to Israeli attacks on UN peacekeepers. Philippe Shannock, CBC News, Toronto.
An instructor at a Mississauga religious school has been charged with sexual assault. 32-year-old Ahmed Al-Hajj Ahmed is accused of assaulting 2 children at the school. He was arrested on Tuesday and is charged with 2 counts of sexual assault and 2 counts of sexual interference. Police say he is being held in custody until a bail hearing. He's scheduled to appear in a Brampton courtroom at a later date. Efforts are intensifying within the Liberal Party, with a growing number of MPs privately calling for Justin Trudeau to step aside. As David Cochrane shows us, MPs are being asked to sign a document pledging their support for a leadership change.
What's been happening is MPs have been meeting in rooms all across Parliament Hill, and they're being asked to sign their names to what amounts to a pledge to stand together and calling for Trudeau to resign. Now, it's not a letter they're signing that will be circulated. Instead, it's a tightly controlled document. There are no copies. There are no photos. And sources I've spoken to describe it as a vehicle to secure a commitment from MPs to seek that leadership change and bind the MPs to that goal should the Prime Minister and his supporters push back. Look at it like an insurance policy of sorts, signed in ink in the MP's own hand that becomes impossible to disavow if the pressure gets too high. What my sources are saying is that at least 20 MPs have so far signed this document, with others voicing their support for this cause. One MP who signed the document told me that the number of signatures spilled over to a second page. And my understanding is that it's from across the country. Backbenchers from the Atlantic, from Quebec, from Ontario, and from the West. No cabinet ministers that we know of that have signed it to this point, but we know that there are some cabinet ministers who are aware of these efforts. People I've spoken with who are connected with this effort said their intention was to keep it secret for as long as possible till it built to critical mass, and the fear was that moving too fast could allow the Prime Minister's office a chance to respond and maybe splinter the resistance.
That is our David Cochrane reporting for us from Ottawa. Well, it is Thanksgiving long weekend, a time to celebrate with family and friends, but it's also increasingly challenging for many to just put food on the table. At least 1 in 10 people in Toronto now rely on food banks. Naima Weingarten takes us to a food drive in Toronto.
Boxes upon boxes getting packed at the Daily Bread Food Bank. All filled with donations the food bank says are not keeping up with rising demand. They say each month they serve 5 times the number of people they did before the pandemic, with their annual food budget rising from just $1.5 million to a whopping $29 million.
And that hasn't increased the amount of food to an individual person. All that's done is maintain our service levels. And so it can't continue like that. It's not sustainable.
The Daily Bread says nearly a third of food bank clients reported going a whole day without eating, and more than half have skipped meals to pay for something else, like rent. Christina Kennedy has been using the food bank since 2018. The mother of 4 hasn't been able to work since she was diagnosed with an illness. And then her husband passed away.
It really does affect the anxiety you feel and the desperation you can feel, especially when you have dependents, knowing I might not be able to give them the things they need.
She says she's seen the rising demand for food banks firsthand.
They don't really have as much stuff just because there's more and more need. Like the lineups are now going down the street.
Ontario's premier and Toronto's mayor also showed up, speaking about what they have been doing to resolve the issue, like the city's program to feed kids in schools.
This coming January, I'm committed. The City of Toronto is committed to feeding 8,000 more kids.
And touching on causes of food insecurity that go beyond grocery prices, like the rising job numbers Ontario has seen this fall.
There's 43,000 more people working today than there was a month ago. It's the largest number in North America. New jobs, it gives people a hand up, which is so important.
But this expert says 2/3 of those that are food insecure are already in the workforce.
The minimum wage in Ontario is good. It's gone up substantially over the last few years. That's really positive. But it doesn't matter. In the context of these prices, people need more supports if they're working in low-wage jobs.
If you're looking to give back this Thanksgiving, Daily Bread says what they need most are high-protein foods, canned fruits and vegetables, and oatmeal. The Thanksgiving drive is going to keep going until October 31st, when this year their goal is to raise $4.6 million, along with 200,000 pounds of food. Nama Weingarten, CBC News, Toronto.
The Children's Breakfast Club's hosting a Thanksgiving giveaway. The group provides thousands of meals for school-age kids across the GTA and beyond.
We started this initiative was we know there's food insecurities in our communities, and we wanted to help our families during this holiday season to have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
There's our Dwight Drummond hard at work with volunteers packing boxes. The club is set to give out 1,000 food hampers. They're filled with fresh produce and frozen turkeys, giving families facing tough times some much needed relief this long weekend. Turning live now to Scotiabank Arena, Leafs fans heading in with high hopes ahead of puck drop in less than an hour. Toronto's Boys in Blue back in the city for their home opener against Pittsburgh. Now there's plenty of excitement tonight, especially around the Leafs' new captain, Austin Matthews.
I think with the new coach, we'll be able to push it past the first round this year, and I got big hopes for the team to be successful this year.
Got to play heavy D. Lots of goal scoring. We need Matthews to score. We need Willie to score. All these big guys, they got to play their part and got to do it.
I honestly think the Leafs have it. We made it to round 2 of the playoffs last year, so let's get it all the way this year. That's all I can say.
It's my birthday today, so a good birthday present for a Maple Leaf win would be nice.
Happy birthday to that sweet dad with his little guy there. Go Leafs, go. I love the optimism. You know, we need it.
I believe. I really, really, really do. This is going to be the year, folks.
Yeah.
I'm knocking on wood, crossing my fingers. I can't do much for a more favorable Thanksgiving weekend forecast, though, Shannon. Mother Nature is certainly serving up a healthy helping of cold, chilly, unpredictable, and unsettled weather with some below seasonal conditions for dessert. And meanwhile, it's patio weather in parts of the prairies. They'll be cracking the 20s this Thanksgiving weekend. All the blues and greens you see on this graphic are representations of temperatures that are anywhere from 2 to 10 degrees below the relative normal temperature. And that is our gift this Thanksgiving weekend. For dessert, the raw east wind. We've already been seeing winds up to 70, almost 80 kilometers an hour in the Nickel Belt, nearly 50 in the GTA, 60 in the Muskokas, and it will be a raw easterly wind, especially Sunday into Monday, and especially on the western and northern shores of Lake Ontario, bringing in this upper level trough that will be with us this Thanksgiving weekend. You'll really see the white caps and really feel the wind for those of you in the western edge of the GTHA. Sunday morning and afternoon, just incoming light shower activity. It's Sunday evening, though, that the heavy bands of rain will be there, especially for those of you London, Hamilton, Niagara. Heaviest rain Monday morning, just skirting the edges of the lakeshore areas, Niagara Falls, Cobourg, Kingston, Cornwall, and Ottawa. This system could push a little bit more north, though. So the track is unpredictable, but we know it's going to be kind of a raw feeling Thanksgiving weekend with temperatures that we're going to feel into the single digits. We are barely cracking the double digits for Monday, Shannon.
Yikes, okay. We'll need to eat
Not
lots.
the best forecast. Yes, eat lots and extra cozy sweaters and comfy pants.
We'll take it. Stretchy pants. Thanks, Sophia.
Yeah.
The International Film Festival of South Asia now underway in Vaughan, the 11-day event celebrating the best of South Asian cinema in Canada.
People of all kinds and colors come here and uplift each other, and it's a great opportunity for, to bring these stories to light in our society.
I Am No Queen is just one of more than 100 films hitting the big screen. It also debuted earlier this year at TIFF. The filmmakers say they hope this movie will shine a light on what has become a difficult reality for some international students in our province.
It's inspired by true events, based on international students that are migrating from third world countries, from India to Canada. And it really is a hard subject because it talks about sex trafficking, drug abuse, and exploiting young girls for their beauty.
You could just share a room with me and you wouldn't have to pay anything.
Please just give me a few days. I'll figure something out.
A few more days, that's all you say. You have to move out. I have somebody else to take the place.
Police raided this basement in Brampton with 25 students living there, and I was one of them.
It's a real life problem that our community is going through. So we wanted to reach out to make sure we address the issue, especially for people that are sending their kids abroad. Right. This way, if the message is there, so. Like Shadab said, the parents, make sure you do your homework before sending your kids. It's the proper colleges and no bogus agents, right? So it just, I'm just happy that we're able to deliver this great product.
The festival also honors some of Indian cinema's most revered icons. CBC is a presenting sponsor of IFSA this year. We're heading into a quick break. We'll be right back. In Windsor, a community is mourning the death of a teenager who had Down syndrome who was struck and killed by a vehicle last weekend. Dulcin Chen has more on how he's being remembered.
Soham Lane loved to hit home runs. The 16-year-old Harrow resident is being honored by the Miracle League of Amherstburg, an organization for people with disabilities that Soham participated in since the age of 4.
You could see it in his eyes. His face when he crosses home plate each and every time he hits the ball is what I envisioned the Miracle League to be about. He's got a huge smile. His hands are up in the air. It's just pure joy. That's what it is.
Soham died after being struck by a vehicle on County Road 18 on the morning of October 6. The collision happened within walking distance of his home. OPP said their investigation continues, but charges aren't anticipated. Soham was an adopted child and the eldest of 5 kids. Along with his loving parents, siblings, and extended family, he had the love of a second family. That's because of his best friend since childhood, Tommy Wright.
They had a bond like no other. It was more than a friendship. I'm sorry, I'm going to get emotional. It was more than a friendship, more like brothers.
With Tommy by his side, Soham had countless adventures, from sporting events to playdates to cottage vacations. Now many members of community organizations are joining in the two families' grief. From the Windsor-Essex Down Syndrome Association to the County Learning Center, everyone was fond of Soham Lane.
He's such a fun-loving little guy, enjoys life to the fullest, always up for an adventure to have fun. Soham wasn't as verbal as Tommy is. And so Tommy led him through a lot of their activities and a lot of their social outings together. So those were 2 words that were very distinct with Soham. And he would often say, ball, Tommy, ball, Tommy. And that meant, I want to go see Tommy and I want to go play baseball.
The Miracle League of Amherstburg is distributing a special baseball card for Soham Lane, describing him as a Hall of Famer and an all-star. Dulcin Chen, CBC News, Windsor.
Recovery efforts continue in Florida after the destruction left in the wake of Hurricane Milton. The Category 3 storm swept across the state on Wednesday, spawning several tornadoes.
Came from over there, right over the house this way, and kept going that way. That's what all those other houses that
straight past here.
Yeah, and I found 3 people dead.
6 people died in this community alone. As the cleanup continues, many challenges remain, including more than 1 million people still without power. Some areas are also seeing gas shortages and even persistent flooding. Just 2 weeks ago, the same region was battered by Hurricane Helene. U.S. President Joe Biden is set to tour the state on Sunday. It's time for a short break now for us. Sophia is back next with a look at the forecast for right across the province. Stay with us. A comet last seen in our skies thousands and thousands of years ago might be visible this weekend with the naked eye. Discovered early last year, it likely originated from the Oort cloud, the shell containing billions of icy objects that surrounds our solar system. It'll be visible for much of October. If you miss it, it'll roll around again in about 80,000 years. Well, lots of wagging tails in Kitchener for this weekend's Dogtoberfest. Big dogs and little ones out enjoying a beautiful day with their humans. The event is part of Kitchener-Waterloo's annual Oktoberfest experience. There's lots of events all weekend long, live music, contests, pack walks, and plenty of treats. A sunny day out there for all those little guys. I'm glad they got their treats, too.
Yep, I'm glad they enjoyed the sun while they could, because it's going to be some wet dog paws over this Thanksgiving weekend. Shannon, this isn't the best start to a Thanksgiving weekend. Between a system skirting us from the south and some lake effect showers into Tuesday, everybody's going to see some wet, unpredictable, and unsettled weather. In the next 24 hours, a greater chance for that rain south of that 401 corridor, especially into southwestern Ontario, Niagara Falls, and even up to the nation's capital region. But that system, as I said earlier, could go a little further to the north. Chilly, though. You're really going to feel the bite in the air, feeling like the single digits for your daytime high on Sunday, and in the single digits for the high into parts of northern Ontario. For Sunday afternoon, we continue for a really chilly Monday. We're barely breaking the double digits into the south. Tuesday, the chance for some of you into parts of the Nickel Belt and up to the Timmins area to even see a few flakes of the white stuff. Single digit highs Tuesday and Wednesday. It's been quite a few months since that's happened for those of us in the south. Tuesday's daytime highs are anywhere from 5 to 10 degrees below seasonal. It's the backside of this upper level trough, bringing us a northwest flow. Northwest flow over warmer lake waters. You know what this means. After an unsettled weekend, we have lake effect showers to look forward to on and off through much of Tuesday. Cloudy conditions, not the best to go out and get the beautiful walk of all the leaves, and not great for the prime time of all the foliage as well. But look at this rebound into next weekend. That ridge looks to reassert itself after some chilly overnight lows, and we actually have a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. Too bad it wasn't planned for this weekend, but we're back into the high teens rather, and actually temperatures that are a few degrees above seasonal for next weekend, Shannon.
Something to look forward to. In the meantime, pie. Lots
in the meantime,
pumpkin pie.
Right? Extra doses, yeah.
There you go. Thanks, Sophia.
You're welcome.
That's our show. As we say goodbye, we want to leave you now with more adorable pups out enjoying Dogtoberfest in Kitchener-Waterloo.